So, we already know that we're reading a story about life in the ocean because Miss Maggie already talked to us about some bacteria and minerals and some other things that live in the ocean. So this article is going to give us a little bit more information about some specific features that are in the ocean. The story will talk about things like hydrothermal vents and adaptable life. So what do you think a hydrothermal vent is, or what does adaptable life mean? What are some thoughts that you guys have?
It means it can live in different kinds of environments.
Okay,
So it's adaptable.
for adaptable life, yeah, you could live in different environments. What about hydrothermal vents? What are some ideas what that might be? Just a general idea.
I think it's probably something at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, something that's at the bottom of the ocean. That's a great answer. So we'll see if your predictions are correct when we're reading through our story here in just a few minutes. First, I need you guys to get out your KWL chart, and we're going to make some predictions. So I want you guys to write down some things that you already know about life in the ocean and some things that you want to learn about adaptable life in the ocean or hydrothermal vents. So just take a quick little second, write some things down. You can talk about what we just talked about adaptable life and what we just talked about hydrothermal vents. And I'll give you about 5 minutes to fill out your chart, and then we'll move on. Is everybody good? Got your stuff written down on your KWL chart? All right. So now that you guys have all told me what you know and what you want to learn, we're going to read the story, and you can fill out your KWL chart as you go along, or if you think of other things that you want to learn as we're reading through the story. So are you guys ready to read?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to read this little paragraph right here. It says, finding this life made scientists reconsider, which is a word that we already learned earlier today, made scientists reconsider the power of evolution. They had thought for almost 100 years that while life was adaptable to a certain extent, there were some things it simply couldn't do without, sunlight and oxygen being two. However, as the animals around the hydrothermal vents proved, life was much more adaptable than they had believed. So after I read this little sentence or this little part of our paragraph, I would say that adaptable life was something that I had already made a prediction about in my KWL chart, and whenever I read that sentence, I'm going to look at the sentence and see if I can make a better guess. So we kind of said that adaptable life was something that could live other places, but after we read this, we know that adaptable life also means that it's something that can live without things that we thought that it needed to have, like sunlight and oxygen. So let's keep going. Now scientists think that life, just like it does around the vents, could exist right now on Europa, which is one of Jupiter's moons. And Europa has long been known to have vast oceans, but scientists thought that being so far from the sun and having an atmosphere so thick that it can't hold in much air, life would not be possible there. Now it seems like those factors might not matter as much as previously thought. Some scientists also think that Mars may have once had life on its surface. So that was a whole lot of information. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's try and shrink that big paragraph with a lot of information down to one sentence that would make it easier for us to understand what this article is talking about. So what are some ideas? What are some ways that we think that we could shrink this?
Well, we talked a lot about different kinds of adaptable life, so maybe we could find information there about it.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about adaptable life, about some things that they don't necessarily need to live other places. So let's maybe say that our paragraph says, scientists used to think that life could not exist without sunlight and oxygen, but now they know that it can. So that sums up our paragraph pretty well because we learned that adaptable life can live without those two things. Boo.